That's the whole focus of what we're going to talk about today, actually, is looking at things going through the back door instead of the front. Looking at how we do things now, seeing what boat that puts us in, and then looking at what the brain science tells us we can do that easily help us fly over these hurdles that we've been fighting for years. Now, telling a story is the easiest way to engage this affective feeling domain, because stories activate all areas of the brain, and it's the emotional part of the brain that we want to trigger for deeper connections. So the trick is to artificially weave skills in such a way that we can take advantage of those parts of the brain that learners are already strong with. You don't have to tell them or to direct them how to feel if no one wants to play with them at recess. You don't have to say, Johnny, listen, you have no friends and nobody wants to be with you. You should be crying. Would you like me to write in your journal like a sad face with some tears, and then that way tomorrow if you bring it to recess and you don't know what to do when nobody wants to play with you, you can look at your journal and it'll tell you should cry. You know, you don't have to memorize what just makes sense. So if we're tapping into an area that drives their decision making and their behavior on a constant basis, we're just letting that area drive the decision making to work with all of this unfamiliar text. And this whole base of scalability can be built, as opposed to maybe spending a letter a week or even spending 6 months teaching, kids who just want to lick the carpet a K, because in kinder, that's half your battle, is being more interesting than a shoe or the carpet. So I completely get why you thought that was that word. It's because there's a grown-up reading and writing secret in that word that you don't know. Now, I'm a grown-up, so I have a really big grown-up sized brain, which means it can hold all these secrets. You're a kid, you have a kid-sized brain, which means it's smaller than mine, which means I've got to be careful, because if I tell you a giant grown-up reading and writing secret before your brain's ready, your brain could explode. And now I will say, if you do teach in an early grade, be careful when you say that, because you'll set your criers back off again if it's the beginning of the year. So use that once they know your personality. But the reason behind that is an old brain-based tenet, which is, I've got it, you want it, I'll decide if you can have it, but I wouldn't hold my breath. It's big. He can carry this thinking framework into text he has never seen. And that's really what we're trying to do. The brain is like a bookie in Las Vegas. We want best betting odds for Las Vegas. So when kids come to text they have never seen, we want them to be able to look at a word and bring to that word the best betting odds for Las Vegas when it comes to how am I going to attack that word. And if he knows that you're going to be sneaky back here and up here you're not going to be, that gives him the best foot up to know what sounds to try, even in a word he's never laid eyes on before. Same thing when he's writing, because writing is a window into the mind of a reader. You'll be able to see some telltale signs that this is kindergarten writing, even though it's going to look ridiculous for kindergarten writing. Now, this is kindergarten. This is what I'm going to call an average sample, and the reason I'm going to call it average is there's our new paradigm shift. Low is over here, the far left, average is in the middle, high is on the end. Now, I've taught all the grades, but I've taught kinder long enough to know that is not at all a typical high, medium, and low. As a matter of fact, that low is high in kinder. That high is ridiculous in kinder. That could even be average for fourth if you really think about it. So I know this looks totally wrong. So these are the kind of frameworks that are so easy to put in place if you understand the system of the brain and you understand how you can rob the bank and get around those alarm systems. And it really will open up an entirely different world for readers, because when you know what's inside the box, it is incredibly easy and actually far more fun to think outside of it. And outside of the box is where they need to be when they're applying that critical thought. Now, I know it's 3:30. I'm going to take 1 minute to tell you one thing that you will immediately find out when you get to your classroom if you start playing with this or tell any other teacher about it. Even teachers might say, well, what about the word have? Okay, have doesn't work. Secret doesn't work. Word should be have. What about the word river? Right? You said, Mommy, E, one letter away, that should be river. So see, then what? So then we're back in the problem where it doesn't do what it's supposed to. Here's what you say to keep it back here. When a learner comes up and tells you it doesn't work, have should be have, and river should be river. So it doesn't work. All you do is say, you're right, honey. Where should you be, though, right now? And he'll say, my seat. Okay, right, but you're not at your seat. You're in the next most likely place I'd expect to find you, which of course is right here at my desk. Do you know where the third most likely place is I would go to look for you if you weren't at your seat or at my desk? I bet you guys know. The bathroom, right? Because that's the third most likely place that you like to go. Now, you would never think to just go hop up on the desk of the principal and climb up in his cabinets, right? That would be crazy. You wouldn't do that. Letters are just like you, especially the vowels. They don't just lose their minds and do whatever they want. A's never going to go buh. L's never going to say ss. All they do, and it's usually the vowels that do it, is something they're perfectly able to do anyway. It just might be the next most likely thing, next most likely sound. So what else could A say in the word have? Well, it could say A or A, but it's not supposed to because Mommy E's there. I know, honey, but where are you supposed to be right now? Am I C? Right, so let's just try that other sound you said it could make. Let's see. H, A, V. Surprise, did it work? Yeah, we got the word. What about the word river? What else could I say? Well, could see it, but it's not supposed to because Mommy E's. I know, honey, but again, where are you supposed to be right now? So they get the idea that we don't always behave and letters don't either, but we don't just lose our minds and do random stuff. We do the next most likely thing. And that's why the cool thing is if you know what's in the box, and I did make secrets for anything that happens 5 times or more in text, and then default so that it's not phonicsy, because phonics doesn't work the way the brain works. It's more behaviorally. Why is Johnny acting this way? And if he is, it's probably because of this, because he spent the night with Dad, and Dad lives 40 miles away, so he's tired because they didn't get in until 2 in the morning, and that's why he's mean to me today. It's using the thinking that they already use to drive and navigate their decision making with unfamiliar text.